So we're going to do a drawing of a house here, and you take this 1.5 story house. And this one's in a place called Limerick in Falkirk Council. Just move a wee bit closer to that, so you can see there that the house is 1.5 story. You've got a garage here. You get the main entrance to the house here. A couple of windows at the front here, pretty much the same size. Same goes for upstairs, maybe a wee bit smaller. Dormer window above the garage, and a Velux roof window here. Excuse me. Velux roof window here, Velux roof window here, and some tile vents which maybe ventilate the roof, or maybe even take the ventilation for bathroom ventilation, mechanical extract. Okay, so I might come back to that. I'm going to go to the actual drawing, and if we take a look at this here, this has been converted onto a PDF, the CAD drawing, but it gives you an idea of what the ground floor would look like for this particular house that I've shown you. There's the garage. So we were kind of standing over here at the roadside looking that way. There's the door, there's the two front windows, and then there's the garage where it doesn't have any door or window here, but there's a couple of windows at the back, a door into the garage at the back, and some windows along the kitchen and the family room. Then we've got a stair, which is a half winder, so you come up to a half level and then you turn and you go back up, almost like a U-shaped stair. And underneath the stair there'll be a little store, and that'll be a hot water cylinder for an air source heat pump. Okay, so we're going to draw that, and we've also got some engineer's drawings. So if we look at what we've got here, I'm just going to open the engineer's drawings from this point, and you'll see that the engineer has shown the framing for this particular house. Again, there's the shape of the house there, the garage and the entrance. So the external part of this house is reconstituted stone. Okay, so reconstituted stone, it's kind of got a crisscross shape. Mind you, that could also be blockwork. This is probably more accurate when you see the kind of the hatching here, where you've got a solid line and then a dashed line and then a solid line and then a dashed line. That indicates stonework. And then this here is going to be blockwork. So you can see that it's a timber frame building, and the timber frame runs all the way through the house. This is actually a structural frame here holding up the upstairs, and this spine here is also structural. These are 97 by 47 C16 grade studs, so that's structural timber. And that structural timber is actually taking the actual weight of the roof. Okay, the roof is actually bearing down on this timber. It's not bearing down on the masonry. The masonry is there as a kind of a rain screen, but it's not necessarily structural. Okay. The masonry is tied back to the frame, so it does help in some way, but the main weight or the main loads are transferred through this frame. Okay, so if I go back again to the image, you can see there you've got this reconstituted stone, which looks quite nice, you know, and you've got these coin stones here, which are smoother, and they give it a wee bit of texture, they give it a wee bit of richness. And then, like I said, you know, you can see these coin stones here. So we're going to start off with our CAD drawing, and we'll start off not necessarily on a new sheet because I've done a little bit of preparation here, and given the kind of the main dimensions here, so I'm going to start quite close to this just to keep myself right. Okay, so we're going to use a polyline command, okay, to do this particular outline. Before we do that, I'm going to set up some layers, and we've done layers before. If you go into your home tab, first of all, up here on the ribbon, that's your home tab, and we're going to set up some layers in our layer properties panel here. So if you click on that, and then you'll have some just basic default layers here. You go across to this little symbol here, and if you hover over that, it says new layer. If you click on that, and then you can immediately start typing. So I'm going to call this first layer external wall. Okay, and I'm going to make that a color red. Red is normally the kind of color you would use for brick when you're submitting building warrant drawings, but this is really just for visibility's sake just now. We could actually change the line weight when we go to, when we click on that, it gives you the line weight that these would be actually printed out at. When you see the line on the screen, it doesn't show you the thickness, but when you do actually do a plot preview, then you will see the actual thickness of the lines as it would be if you were plotting. We're going to leave that just for now, but we might come back to that. The next thing we're going to do is another new layer, and we're going to call this ply. And I just what I mean by that is just this is going to be the, in fact, what we'll call it is OSB, not ply. OSB is oriented strand board, and that's the sheathing that you would use to brace the actual frame. Okay, and it also provides a sheet that you can attach the breather membrane to in the timber frame. I'm going to click that. I'm going to change that to, say, a pink color. Again, this is just for visibility's sake, and click OK. We'll leave the rest as it is just now, and the last one that we'll do for the time being anyway is structural frame. Structural frame, and that's going to be let's make it a dark gray color, 253, and click OK. We'll do one more. We'll do one more, and we'll make this insulation. Insulation, and we'll make this a light yellow color. So if I make it 51 and click OK. Okay, so that's going to be quite solid. Well, what I want to do here is I want to change the transparency of that. Now the transparency is here. If you don't see it very clearly, you can kind of drag these little divider lines back and forward. If you click on transparent, type in 60 for your transparency value. Okay, so that softens it slightly, and you can see some lines through that. Once we've done that, we're going to make our external wall our current layer, so that we want to make a green tick to that. Once you click this little symbol here, it makes this your current layer. Then we're going to click close. And now you can see that we're on our external wall layer, and that allows us to start drawing some lines. Okay, so we can come back and change things as we go along, but I want to just get the main kind of outline here, and then I'll pause the video. So the first thing we want to do is we want to go to polyline, and I'm going to start somewhere around about here because I want to just be able to see what I'm doing next to this particular preparation. So I'm going to click down and making sure, or click first and then release, then move your mouse down, make sure that your ortho is set to activated, and we're going to type a value of 10770 and then hit enter to change direction. Then get your mouse and move it in a nice strong direction right beside that last point. There's no point in moving it down here. It's got to be right next to that last point. Okay, And I'm just going to get an idea what this dimension is here. If you just, that's what I'm doing. That's 7780. Okay, so I'll start that again because I want this all to be one complete line. So starting again, 10770. Oops. Polyline. 10770. Enter. 7780. Then up the way by 3146. And then over to the left by 1420. Down by 597. Again, we're on our polyline command still. I don't want to try and break this link unless I really have to. 3440. Did that wrong. So the last point where I was 3440, 3440. Up by 7178. 4860. And then what I can do is I can actually do what's called an inference. I can inference by hovering over this point here and just dragging my mouse back, and you'll see that it lines it up. Okay. In other words, it's basically the turnout size. Okay, lining it up. Now, it was my intention to make sure that this was all connected, but that doesn't matter because what we can do is we can type in JOIN for join and do that again, JOIN, and then enter, and then select all of that particular geometry. Okay, so when you join them, it makes it into an entire polyline. In other words, all connected all the way around here. Okay, so if you're lucky, unlike me, then you should be able to do all of that without stopping. Okay, and there's the dimensions, just in case you want to pause the video. Okay, so we've got 12640 across there. I'll just put on a couple more dimensions here just so that you can get an idea of that. And that particular dimension there, as we said, was a turnout size. That's 1043. Okay, so we're going to focus on this. This is going to be our ground floor. This was just a bit of preparation, and I'll actually move that off to the side a wee bit now. Okay, so this is the garage that we're going to be building up. This is the entrance. This is the main part of the house here, where you've got your living room and dining room at the front, and then your kitchen and kind of a family space at the back. Now that we've got our polyline, it means that we can make a wall thickness out of this. And the way to do that, of course, is to use our offset command. So if we click on offset, and you see down at the bottom of the screen, it's asking you what the offset distance is. I'm going to make this offset distance. First of all, it's going to be a 250 thick wall or thereabouts. Okay, the first offset distance is going to be 100. That's the standard size for a blockwork wall or the thickness of the reconstituted stone. All right, now you see what I did there. Okay, I offset this line in the way to get this line. I'll just repeat that again. If you go offset, type in the value, which is 100. You've got to press enter to continue with the command. Then at the bottom of the screen, you see it says select object offset. So I'm going to select this. It's going to be a clicking exercise. You're going to click on it once and then move your mouse in the way and click again. Okay, once you've done that, you don't need to offset anymore. Hit escape. Okay, so that's the first thickness that you want. That's the masonry thickness. That's the stone that you saw on the outside. Now we're going to make our cavity wall. Okay, we're going to use the same color of line, but we're going to change the properties of that line in a second. So I'm going to go back to offset again. And then the offset here, the offset distance is going to be 50 because that's going to be the airspace for the cavity. And again, it's the same process. It's going to be click on the line and then click inwards and then escape or enter. So between here and here is 50 millimeters. This is 100 millimeters here. Same again, offset. Only this time, what we're going to do is we're going to type in a value of 9. Now, the reason that's going to be 9 is because that is going to be the OSB thickness, which is a kind of a flaky board, timber board, that you'll often see on timber framing. And again, we're just going to offset it in a wee bit, and there's that 9 millimeter thickness there. Okay. Same again, one more time, and we're going to make the inner timber frame. Okay, so this timber frame is going to be 97 millimeters thick. Press enter, and we're going to click this innermost line and make another line inward again. Okay, so now you'll see with just a few clicks, we've been able to make ourselves our masonry wall here, then our cavity, then our 9 millimeters thickness here, and then our timber frame. So I want to change that line there to be our plywood, or I beg your pardon, our OSB. So I'm going to just assign that by clicking on it first of all, of course, and then assign that by clicking on this arrow to our OSB layer. And you'll see there that now turns to the other layer, the OSB. Okay, this line and this line, we can make that our, we can select it like that with a green box, and we can make those two lines onto our structural frame. Now, inside that structural frame, we're going to put in some insulation. We won't do that just now, but I just wanted to give you an idea of what this is starting to look like, okay? Right, we've got another couple of walls to draw before I pause the video. And we're going to draw, if you look on the engineer's drawings, we're going to draw these two walls here. Just to zoom out a wee bit, we're going to do this wall and we're going to do this wall. Okay. Now these two walls here are also structural. These are a little thinner. These are 75 millimeter timber studs. These are 97 here, same as these here. Okay, so let's go back to our drawing, and we're going to make sure this time that we're on our, if you click on this little arrow, we're going to go to our structural frame, and we're going to draw this time. It doesn't have to be a polyline, it can be a line command. And we're going to make this strike from here, right on this external corner here. And we're going to move our mouse all the way up to here, and we're going to snap perpendicular to this other opposite wall. So click and then escape or enter. Okay, we're going to offset that by 97 because that's what I said, it was going to be a structural wall. So offset again, you'll find yourself using this command a lot. You'll see there that the value is already in here, so you don't actually have to type 97. You just have to press enter to accept that value. And then using your little square, click and click over to the right. Now, don't click over to the left. You want to make sure that that first line is all lined up with this one, okay? One more to do. Again, we're on the same layer, the structural frame, and go to our line command, and we'll just do the same pretty much as we did there. Only this time we're going to click to there, it's escape or enter, and then go to offset and it's the same value down here on the command line, 97. Just hit enter to accept that. And then you get this little square, and it means you've got to click on the line and then offset over to the left. Okay, so now we've got some walls in. I'm just going to pause it there so I can get ready for the next part of this. Okay. Okay, so we're going to do some more walls. This time we're going to do the 75mm thick walls, just to give you an idea of what they look like. These are the walls we're going to be drawing in here. Okay, so they're going to be a little bit thinner. We're going to get this wall set out first, 4715, and we're going to make this wall between here and here, we're going to make that 4 meters. So there's a couple of ways we can do this. We could actually take this polyline here, because remember we've got an entire boundary around here. We could actually shatter that up and then start moving lines about. One way that you could do it, if you just stay on your structural frame up here, go to the line command. It doesn't have to be polyline in this case, and you can just trace over this particular wall here and snap onto this corner, hitting enter to close that. And then you'll see that you've actually got a line overlapping or right on top of that line below it. Okay, now what I could do very simply is just get this grip and push it up the way. And while I'm doing that, I'm going to type in 4715 and enter, and you'll see it just moves it up into the middle. Okay, so we could actually keep going if you wanted to, but I'm just going to draw this, the rest of this wall here. So I'm just going to offset this particular line through 75. And again, these are structural sizes that we're looking at. They're not finished sizes. In other words, from here to here is not the finished size. Remember, you've got plasterboard to go onto this side, and you've got plasterboard to go onto this side. I'm going to do the same again. I'm still in my structural frame layer. I'm going to draw a line from here, snapping on to that corner. Okay, coming down to this corner, again snapping onto the end, and then enter. And again, like I did before, I've just basically drawn a line over that wall below it. Get my middle grip, push it out into the middle, and while I'm doing that, just type in 4000. Okay. So what I'm going to do now is just give this a bit of thickness. So I'm going to offset this line here. I'm going to offset this again by 75. Hit enter to accept that value, and I'm just going to click to the right of that. Okay, so this bit is going to be my living room, and this one here is going to be my almost like a dining room. Okay. Now, of course, we've got to make some openings in these walls, but we'll do that shortly. I'm going to offset this line now up the way to make my hallway. Okay, so I'm going to make that 975. Up to offset, type in 975, enter, click this line and move it up the way. You've got to click up the way and then hit enter or escape. Go back again into offset. This time we're going to type 75, click up the way, and now you've made your hallway. And then what I might do then is just have a look at the staircase while I'm at it and see what needs to be done here. I'm going to make this one 1975, so I'm going to do a line roughly about 2.3 meters. Okay, I don't actually have a dimension on here just now, but this is really just to give you an idea. Okay, so I'm going to trace a line over here along here by 2300. We'll see how that looks. Okay, so you can see there that I've basically traced a line over there by 2.3 meters. Okay, I'm going to offset that up the way by 1975 to give me my stair. So go back up to offset again, type in 1975 and click up the way. And then that gives me roughly something. In fact, what I've done, I think what I've done wrong here is I should have done this from, I'm just going to delete that. I should have done that from this point here. Okay, so we'll do that again. It should have been here. So offset, 1975 is already in there. So hit enter to accept that. Specify the point to that side. And now that gives me my stair. Okay, and then I'm going to offset again. Just check on my wall thickness. I'll make that 75, but probably the engineer will want to make this 95. So I'm going to change that to 75, like that. So in other words, if I go up to my quick measure, between there and there is 75, okay? And the length of that is 2.3 meters. Okay, I just want to tidy that wall up a little bit like that, okay? And what I could also do is just try and bring this post back a little bit. If you see what I've done here, I'll probably make that, probably bring that back a little bit, maybe about 1.1 meters or something along those lines. So again, I'll just bring it back this way by 1100 and click on this one. Just get the grip, push it, and while you're pushing it over to the left, type in 1100. Okay, and we'll just tidy that up there. Okay, I'm not just going to get too fussy about that just now. Probably come back to that just to get the main frame, the main skeleton of the building. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to put in our utility room. Okay, so I'm just going to pause this while I get some more dimensions, and we'll be back shortly. Okay, so we're just going to take this wall and we're going to extend it to this point here, because if you look at the example I gave you before, that's exactly what it does. And then we've got a couple of little stores here down the side. So let's just go ahead and do that. And the way we do that is just simply we get this line and we can just bring the grip along and snap it perpendicular to that line. There are a couple of ways to do this, but you'll probably find that this way is easy for now. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to do basically what we've done before, only this time we're going to draw a line from here to here. So we're basically just overlapping a line on this point, and then we're just going to drag this middle grip down the way by 2 meters. It's 2000. And we're just going to make a wall thickness here of 75. Okay. And we'll probably put in this wall here. In fact, we'll put in all of these. I'm just going to kick this wall back slightly so that we can get a door here, so that it's going to give us a wee bit of space once we come out of our main porch. Okay, because you don't want these doors clashing too much, really. Okay, and let's see if we can do that. We'll just bring it to around about here. So I'm just going to do this by eye just now. I'm not going to particularly get too fussed, just for the sake of showing you how to put some geometry together. We'll offset that by 75 this way. So we're getting ourselves a decent bit of space here on both sides. We've got a porch here, and we'll have a porch here, or sorry, an opening here. Now, I want to put in some doors here, okay, because what we're going to have to do is not just put in our doors, but put in our windows, and we're going to have to put in our what we call jambs. We're going to put in a door jamb, a window jamb for each opening, okay, on both sides. I'll just explain what that looks like. So if you look in here, it kind of kicks in slightly. So this is what we're trying to achieve on each side of, for example, the garage door here. And again, if you go up to this door here, this is again a jamb. This is your door jamb here. That's your frame. Okay, and this is a little fire stop. It's just an indication. You need a fire stop at the end of each cavity. So you'll have a fire stop here, and you'll have a fire stop here. Okay, and there'll be some sort of vertical DPC up the way. Okay. Same goes for the windows. If you go along to here, it's pretty much the same kind of detail. You'll see a little bit of a rebate here. It's quite a good detail to have, actually, is to have a little bit of a rebate, so that this line here is just set back slightly from this line. Provides a nice little check in the way, so that you can sit your frame in against the rebate. So let's go ahead and do that. And I'm basically going to guess some of these dimensions, because I don't have everything in front of me. We'll start here, and we'll work our way round in a kind of a clockwise direction. Okay. Okay, so starting from here, let's make this door here an 850 door. And we're going to set our line here roughly about 350 millimeters from this point. So what we need to do then is to draw, going back onto our external wall, we're going to create a line. Doesn't have to be a polyline, just a line, just something that goes up this way. That's on your external wall layer up here. And we're just going to move that across the way. Be careful that you don't snap to any of these points. So just drag your mouse, your crosshair down a wee bit, and then type in 350. Okay, so that'll just move it across the way for you. Now, like I said, we're going to try and make the we'll try and make this door opening about 850 millimeters. So it's just a case of clicking on offset, type in 850, then enter, and we'll offset it like that. Okay. I'm just getting an idea where the next windows here are here. So if I just kind of zoom in here, we want our next window to be about here. I would say maybe something like a 600 window. You wouldn't want to go any smaller than that. So again, maybe the window just kicks in slightly there. So I'm going to draw another line roughly about here. Okay. Give you an idea of the measurement here. What I'll do is I'll go to distance, and I'll just give you an idea of the distance. So it's about 179. Let's just make it a wee bit more. Let's make it around about 200 between here and here. Okay. Offset 600. So you're going to offset this line to here. So we're going to have a door here, and we're going to have a window here. Now, the way to do our door opening is to use the trim command. So if you go up to the scissors here, click on the scissors and enter straight away, and then swipe across those points there. You can also, without coming out of that command, you can stay in that command and you can do exactly the same here. Okay. That means now that you're going to have to tidy these bits up here. If you look at the example I gave you before, you're going to have to tidy that up slightly. Okay. And the way to do that is to just what you want to do is maybe want to just trim. Do that again. Trim, enter, swipe across there. And then what we're going to have to do is put in a block. So we'll just do that. Before we do that, we'll just trim the other side. And it gives you a decent opening there. Okay. Now to create a block, I think we've done this before already. I'm going to create a block and it's going to be a 50mm by 50mm square. In other words, something like that. Okay, that could have been a polyline. At this point, it doesn't matter because we're going to make it into a block anyway. And just put an X through it. That X, basically, just pull that back so that it makes that nice and clear. And that square or rectangle, if it should be a square because it's 50 by 50. That should now be on your structural frame layer. It's okay to do that. You could actually make another layer and call it the cavity closer. Now the cavity closer, as I said before, that stops the fire from spreading out, bursting through the cavity, and then becoming a danger to other parts of the building. Now what we need to do is we need to make this here into a block. Okay, so we're going to go down to our command line and type in block. So it's BLOCK. And enter. And then let's make the name of the block cavity closer. Now you can get cavity closers that you can buy, but a lot of timber frame joiners they're happy enough to put on 50 by 50 timber. You might say the timber can go on fire. Yes, you're quite right, but at least timber has some kind of fire resistance. Okay. Click on pick point. And the pick point here, I'm going to make that this point here. Once you've done that, it'll assign the coordinates at which you picked that on, and then you go across to where it says select objects, and we're going to select that actual square. Enter. And then you'll see a little thumbnail of the actual cavity closer that you're turning into a block. And when we turn anything into a block, it means that we're creating little libraries or big libraries of geometry so that we can use those over and over again. So once we've done that, just make sure that you keep your block editor closed. We don't want to have that ticked, so just untick that and then click OK. That means now that we can insert that same geometry over on the side. So I could type in insert, or what I could do is I could go up to the ribbon here, just one across from the right, and I could click insert here, and you'll see the little cavity closer, and you can drag it now into the side here. Now we might need to rotate it here, so I'm just going to click rotate, or R, and the rotation angle I think will be 180 degrees. That means I can land it in here, and then I can drag this back as well. So you really want to be doing that to all door and window jambs. Okay, so again, you could insert it, or what you could equally do is you could take this and you could just copy it. There's nothing wrong with that. Click copy, and this is the bit that you're copying. Give it a base point. So in this case, the base point will be here, and just drag it across to here. Okay, and you can keep doing that all the way around the building until you make sure you've got a cavity closer and the windows positioned on your drawing. Okay. Now, I'm going to pause the video here, and I'm going to put in more windows and doors around this particular wall. I will provide you with the PDF, so you should get a good idea of where exactly to put these windows, where to trim the various openings, and I'm just going to do that just now.